What's up guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are now officially over halfway through 2022 as of the day this video is coming out, I think. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to just take a break, look back at the 6 months we've had so far and rank all the 2022 movies I've seen. And I've seen a lot of them. Some might say too many, including me. I've seen 41 movies, which is mental because I saw something like 56 in all of last year. So anyway, I'm going to rank all 41 2022 movies I've seen so far and we'll give them stars out of 5, give you my quick thoughts and just keep moving on until we get to first place. Just a little teaser for you now. There are four 5-star movies and I still haven't decided what order I'm going to rank them in. So I'm just hoping that I will get inspiration as this video goes on. And of course, at the end of the year, I'll rank every movie I've seen and I'm sure it's going to change a lot from what I'm about to present to you right now because my opinions change and I just kind of make things up in the moment. Let's begin. Okay, last time I did this back 6 months ago when I did it for all of 2021, I didn't enjoy the first half of the video because I was being too negative for a lot of it. But here we go, I'm going to be really negative. In 41st place is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's a reboot or a sequel or who cares? I haven't seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I will admit it. But this movie was just so much nothing. There were no characters, there was no build-up, there was nothing, and the gore wasn't even that exciting. Because if the gore was exciting, then maybe I would excuse the boring characters and the boring plot and the badly shot film. This is the only half-star movie on the list. There are no 1-star movies. Let's move into 40th place. In 40th place, we have Morbius. I've done a full 15-minute review of this movie, so if you want to check that out, be my bloody guest. I'm not making any Morbius jokes because I don't enjoy them anymore. I'm fed up of Morbius. I'm fed up of Jared Leto. He's a bad bloke, definitively. It's not funny. He's a bad bloke. And Morbius is such a bland and nothing movie, just filled to the brim with nonsense that doesn't make sense and badly shot action and weird slow-mos and bad CGI and weird characterizations, and none of it makes any sense at all, and I couldn't stand it. And Matt Smith is fine in it. I guess I like Matt Smith, but it was bad writing. This is 1.5 stars, as you can see. Let's move into 39th place. Also with 1.5 stars in 39th place, we have the Firestarter reboot, which was just a little horror movie starring Zac Efron, and it was bad. It was bad. It was just there was no plot. Things just kind of happened and it flowed, and then when the movie ended, I was like, oh, the movie just ended, because there was no arc. It was kind of just all over the place. And John Carpenter's score was great as always. That was good fun, and there were sequences and moments I enjoyed, but it was a vague world and a dumb premise, and I didn't like it. In 38th place, we have the 355. This is one of the first movies I've seen of the year and also was one of the most forgettable. I've had to bring up my Letterboxd review right here. You probably can't see that in this light, but I've had to bring up my Letterboxd review to remember what I actually thought of this movie because it was so forgetful. And I've written here that this is one of the most flavourless movies I've ever seen because it was bland and it was boring and it had zero original thoughts. It was just the most stereotypical spy movie I've ever seen. And I enjoy the concept of all these women from different countries coming together. It just doesn't work. It just didn't work in practice in this film because this film was bad. Also 1.5 stars. Our first 2-star movie in 37th place, we have The Bubble, directed by Judd Apatow. I have no idea what went wrong with this movie because it's got a great cast. Love Karen Gillan. Love Pedro Pascal. It's got a Daisy Ridley cameo. It's got a James McAvoy cameo. It's got bloody Guz Khan. He's a lot of fun. We like Guz Khan. There's other people in this movie who I like. But this movie was just deeply unfunny. All the jokes were either, haha, celebrity say dumb thing, or haha, sex, or haha, rich person is mean, haha. The concept is fun, it just didn't explore it enough and was just too surface level. Not my sort of sense of humour, to be honest with you, and that's completely fine. If you found it funny, good for you. Got no issues with that. In 36th place, we have Moonfall with 2 stars, directed by Roland Emmerich. I had fun with this movie, and I'm ashamed to admit it. This movie is just so big and stupid and dumb, and the concept is so out there and mind-blowing that I just have to respect this movie for being as stupid as it is and just making no sense at all and just absolutely 100% committing to it. And Patrick Wilson is a cool guy. I like Patrick Wilson, and like, yeah, he does nothing in this movie, and yeah, this movie is kind of bland and lots of it doesn't work, but it looked cool, it had some cool shots in there, and it was dumb, and it was big, and it was stupid, and really, what else do you want from a Roland Emmerich movie? Let's be honest with one another. In 35th place, also with 2 stars, we have Marry Me, the rom-com with Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez. This was fine, it was sweet, it was cute, and it was just kind of washed over me, so I don't have a lot to say. It was fine, like I literally just said. Our first 2.5-star movie is Alex Garland's Men. Talking about things being surface level, that's all this movie is. It has a strong message about, men, but it's just so surface level. It's kind of just like, oh, men do bad things and women suffer. It does not delve into it any more than that, and like, it feels like it's mansplaining misogyny to you. This is what I felt when I was sitting in the cinema, and it's just so pretentious and self-righteous, and it's like, oh, look at me, oh, I'm not like other men, oh, I understand sexism. Sure, you understand sexism, Alex Garland, good for you. Just don't mansplain it to the rest of us. It was fine. It had some good frightening sequences and some solid performances, but in this movie, women's entire identity is wrapped around being a victim, and that's not true, and that's not how it should be. And now I'm mansplaining misogyny, so I'm gonna shut up and move on to the next movie. In 33rd place, also with 2.5 stars, we have Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg starring in Uncharted. Let me just think, all I can remember about this movie is the trailer, to be honest. But that's fine, because everything that happens in the movie happens in the trailer, and there's no new action sequences or anything. And yeah, this has some cool action sequences and some cool spectacle, but the characters are so flat and so nothing. They're just like, oh, I trust you now. Oh, I don't trust you. Oh, just shut up and make a good movie next time. Sorry, I didn't know how I was going to finish that sentence. That's what I decided on. In 32nd place, also with 2.5 stars, we have Jurassic World Dominion. What to say about this movie? This stuff has changed way too much from the original Jurassic Park, because the original Jurassic Park is just these group of nerds getting stuck on an island and doing anything they can to survive. In this, it's a bunch of proto-superheroes trying to stop an evil corporation from taking over and ending the world. And I think there's a fundamental flaw with how these movies have progressed and how what they focus on now, and I think that feeds into it. And yes, it was nice to see the original cast again, but no one cares about Chris Pratt's character. No one cares about Bryce Dallas Howard's character. I love Bryce Dallas Howard, but nobody cares about her character in this movie. And the dinosaurs were cool, but there was nothing new apart from, more realistic looking dinosaurs, I suppose. But, apart from that, I was kind of like, oh, it's another dinosaur. Oh, what movie have I seen this in before? Oh, I know, every other Jurassic Park movie. But the locusts were a nice twist, and it looked fine. So, there you go. I am once again feeling like I'm being too negative, so I want to keep going so I can get to some good movies and give you my praises. In 31st place, we have our first 3-star movie, and that is Dog, with a Channing Tatum movie with Dog, and I'm trying to remember this movie now, and it wasn't that long ago I saw it. It was fun. It was a nice dog, and it was a nice Channing Tatum, and he was charming, and seeing his growth with this dog was really nice. It was a nice buddy comedy in that regard. Just there was stuff around the background of Channing Tatum that I would have liked to see Channing Tatum's character, I should say, them delve into further, and they did not do so because it was just a sweet movie about a dog, and what more could you ask for? Entering the top 30, we have The Adam Project, Ryan Reynolds' Netflix movie directed by Sean Levi. And the emotional stuff here worked for me for an extent. I enjoyed Ryan Reynolds and Kid Ryan Reynolds, Walker something, can't remember his name, and Mark Ruffalo. I think the emotional connection these characters had worked. But the world this movie inhabited was bland. All the futuristic stuff was the most, like, generic stuff I've ever seen. And the villain was somehow simultaneously underdeveloped and too complicated, and you expect a level of complication in a time travel movie, but here it was too complicated and too underdeveloped, like I just said. And like I said, it was too CGI heavy, too much green screen, and the world just felt so artificial in the worst way possible. But like I said, I enjoyed the comedy and I enjoyed the emotion behind it. In 29th place, we have Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore. Who gives a damn about Fantastic Beasts? Jude Law is good in this. Mads Mikkelsen is good in this. There's not enough Eddie Redmayne for me to say either way. I want more Eddie Redmayne. This should have just been a movie series about Eddie Redmayne and his fun little adventures. Not Wizard Hitler. Okay. This movie was just bland and forgettable, and it set up stuff about the Harry Potter lore that just didn't make sense and didn't really feed into anything, and it was better than Crimes of Grindelwald, but it like stepped over a lot of that and rewrote a lot of that in ways I didn't exactly enjoy, because even if the last movie's bad, you got to keep that continuity and keep going. I'm looking at you, Rise of Skywalker, despite the fact I love The Last Jedi. Just drop this series, please, and drop J.K. Rowling while you're at it. In 28th place, we have X. This movie was an interesting watch. It was gross, and perhaps the most uncomfortable I've been in the cinema this year, apart from maybe the ending of Men. This is definitely up there as the most uncomfortable I've been, and I think it had compelling characters to an extent. I just think it kind of crumbled in the ending, and an issue I have with a lot of horror movies. I enjoy horror movies for the most part, but the issue I have with a lot of them is you get this band of really compelling characters and you spend the first act setting them up and this fun dynamic between all of them, and then a lot of the time in a badly executed horror movie you spend the third act just executing them, and there's no fulfillment and there's no completion of arcs. Like, I'm fine if you go and kill all your characters, that can work, just you have to still further their arc and their plot and the plot of the film, and I think this movie kind of falls flat in that regard. In 27th place, our next 3-star movie is Better Nate Than Ever, a Disney Plus film, which was fun. It's weird. It's about a boy who wants to star in musicals, and he goes to New York without his parents' permission, and he goes and auditions for stuff. And it's weird because the musical numbers kind of subtract from the overall experience here, which isn't what should happen. I love musicals. You guys should know that about me. And here, the musical numbers just kind of subtract from the overall experience, and you're kind of sitting like, oh, is this musical number going to end? Just because they're so generic and flashy and flat. In 26th place, we've got the Bob's Burgers movie. I've never seen an episode of Bob's Burgers, so I don't know why I went to watch the Bob's Burgers movie. I didn't find it that funny. Ouch! Oh no! I upset Bob's Burgers fans. I apologise. Just I didn't find the movie that funny. Maybe it's because I didn't have a pre-existing relationship with any of these characters, but just most of the humour fell flat for me. I think the animation was cool, and it looks cool. I thought this was a good-looking movie, and the plot was fine, and it was a tight 90, which I adore, and it was fun overall. What more do you want me to say? In 25th place, we have the second Channing Tatum movie on this list, The Lost City, which he stars in with Sandra Bullock and Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe is a lot of fun in this. I think he's a good villain. I like seeing him in things, and I think he's fun, and I think the comedy's fun. The world doesn't look great. I think it's shot poorly, and I think there's a lot of bad green screen, and the CGI is bad, and the plot isn't super compelling, and the romance doesn't completely work for me, but the comedy works, and Daniel Radcliffe works, and what more could a boy want? In 24th place, we have one of the more recent movies on this list, and that is Spiderhead, the Netflix movie with Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth, by the guy who directed Top Gun Maverick, whose name escapes me. He also did Tron Legacy. Anyway, this movie has a fine concept, but it's not explored enough, and it's kind of just the most cliche version of the plot they could have done, and the ending is a real tonal shift, and there's comedy that doesn't work, and Chris Hemsworth is fun in it, and Miles Teller is fun in it, but the writing and the plot just kind of crumbles when you look at it too long. Can we please get to talking about some movies that I can say nice things about now, please? In 23rd place, we have an even more recent movie, and that is Lightyear, the new Pixar movie. And this has got to be one of Pixar's weakest movies. And that doesn't say a lot, because I did enjoy parts of this movie. Just, it was the most bland version of what it should be. And I think a big flaw here is how it's a Pixar movie. You know? Okay, that came out wrong. If you want to hear me properly explain this, go read my Letterboxd review, because I wrote it a lot more eloquently than I'm going to be able to say it. But Pixar movies are about things. They're about loss or grief or big things like that. And because they were making Lightyear, they're like, hey, this movie's got to be about something. Where this movie shouldn't have a big, heavy theme and message like that. It should have just been a fun 90s silly romp. This movie is not nearly 90s enough. It is not nearly silly enough. And it is not nearly fun enough for what I wanted. Chris Evans is good. Taika Waititi is good. A lot of the comedy works. It looks great, but it's just too grey. I want more colour, I want more 90s, I want more silliness, I want more noise. Because I'm not the first person to say this, but Andy's a dumb kid if this is his favourite movie. Also, with 3 stars, we're having Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I rate this a bit too low. Because this is better than the first movie, and the first movie isn't amazing. But the comedy works. The relationship Sonic has with his new friends of Knuckles and Tails works. Apart from Knuckles, kind of is weirdly written. I love Idris Elba in the role, though. What's his face? James Marsden, underused. That's fine. Some of it looks a bit wonky, but overall, I like the colour. I like the designs. Jim Carrey, phenomenal. I love that man. If I could, I'd give him a big old kiss on the forehead and say, good job, Jim Carrey. Be in more movies. Just any movie with Jim Carrey in immediately gets a bonus from Dean's Beans. Remember that. Our first 3.5-star movie, in 21st place we have The House, which is like a Netflix anthology thing. It was 3 stories in one movie, about 20 minutes, half an hour each. And they were creepy, and some of them were stronger than others, and some of them were weaker than others, as you would expect, but they were creepy, and they were animated in an interesting style, and they just had good tension throughout all of them, an interesting twist, and they were just a bit weird, and I love things that are weird. In 20th place, we have Death on the Nile. I love Hercule Poirot, so whenever... I said that name weirdly. I love Hercule Poirot, so whenever something has him in, immediate bonus from Dean's Beans. It's the Jim Carrey effect. Shut up, Dean. But this movie didn't look great. It had an interesting colour palette, but the green screen was weak. And the mystery was strong. It was good. I enjoyed how much time they took setting it up before the actual murder. I thought that was an interesting way to take this, and the resolution was kind of straightforward, but I didn't see it coming. And the performances were good, despite the extremely problematic cast. And, Kenneth Branagh had some interesting flair there, and there were some interesting moments of actual direction and style and decisiveness, which I appreciated. In 19th place, I don't know if this counts as a movie, and I wasn't sure whether I'm going to include it, but here it is, Jackass 4.5, also with 3.5 stars. This is like all the outtakes from Jackass 4, with just interviews and stuff like that chucked in. I understand why a lot of these were outtakes, because they're not as interesting stunt-wise, but I enjoy seeing the peek behind the curtain of these guys' friendship and how the new team was chosen and how they function together. 38th is another animated movie, The Bad Guys. I loved the animation here, because it was like a melding of like the 2D style with 3D technology. It looked great and had a great cast. Any movie with Sam Rockwell in gets an immediate bonus from Dean's Beans. It's the Jim Carrey effect. It had a cool twist. It was fun. It had cool action sequences, and it was a little predictable, but it's a kids' movie. What do you expect? It was fun. I had a good time. Get off my back. Here's a big one. 17th place is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Also done a full review on this. I was disappointed. Sam Raimi was great. The direction was great. Had some awesome sequences and cinematography and creative flair, which I really enjoy and you don't usually expect from an MCU movie, but Doctor Strange still is left underdeveloped. This movie has an inconsistent message and theme, and the decisions Doctor Strange makes don't make total sense when you think of his character. And Wanda, she worked as a villain because she was intimidating and she was frightening, and she worked as a physical threat, just moving through obstacles. But I think at the beginning of the movie she could have done with more development, because this character here is miles different from the character at the end of WandaVision, and I found it a bit jarring. America Chavez was fun. Benedict Wong, love that man. Immediate bonus, Dean's Beans, Jimmy Carrey effect. And the action was good, and I enjoyed the cameos because they were brief and they were like, here they are, done. They weren't spread out throughout the movie, distracting you. In 16th place, we have Hustle, Adam Sandler's new movie. I don't care about basketball. I'm just a British person. We don't care about basketball, but this movie made me care. The friendship between Adam Sandler and the basketball player, who I can't remember the name of, was great, and I enjoyed watching it develop, and I enjoyed Adam Sandler's character throughout the movie, and it was a very dramatic role for him, which I always enjoy from him. And overall, it was just a bit of fun, and it was sweet, and it was heartfelt, and it worked. In 15th place is Apollo 10.5, a movie which just kind of takes you through nostalgia for the late 60s, an era I obviously wasn't alive for, but this movie somehow still made me feel nostalgic for an era 30 years before I was born, over 30 years before I was born, and that was just a feat in itself, and the animation was cool and interesting, and had good voice actors too. Speaking of the 60s, in 15th place we have Elvis. I guess that's also, 50s and 40s and many other decades. Not that many other decades. The 70s, that's about it. Baz Luhrmann had a style here which I really enjoyed. There was lots of creative flair, and I think, what's his name? Butler? But I'm gonna have to look this up. I'm not editing this out. Austin Butler. Was good. I really enjoyed his performance, and when he did sing, it was great, and he had the physicality to the performance that really carried it, despite not looking a lot like Elvis. Tom Hanks was really going for it. His performance was right out there, and it was dialed up to 11, but this movie was dialed up to 11, so I didn't hate it. I think it kind of blended in once you'd gotten used to it. Just, this movie had no reason for being as long as it was. It was way too long. They could have just condensed it, told less of Elvis's life story, and also there wasn't enough focus on the music for me, for someone who loves music. I think it kind of just, brushed over a lot of the music, and it was just 30 seconds clips at a time, which I found quite unsatisfying. In 13th place we have Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the Andy Samberg and John Mulaney Disney Plus film, which was a lot of bloody fun. It was a rollicking good time. I enjoyed this movie did fan service and cameos in a really fun way because they fed into the plot. They weren't just on the side going, hey, look at this cool thing. They fed into the plot, and they worked, and they were funny, and they didn't spend too much time focusing on all these background details, and there was cool action and good comedy, and it was just fun overall. I enjoyed this movie a lot. In 12th place is our last 3.5-star movie, The Northman. I think I'm going to get some hate for putting this so low, but not high enough, This movie looked great. The performances were great. The score was great. The action was phenomenal. The first act was mind-blowing. The third act was mind-blowing. The middle act, the second act, as some people like to call it, was kind of flat and underwhelming and underdeveloped. And that's my main problem with this movie, which I did otherwise really enjoy. I'm not hating on it. 11th place is our first 4-star movie, Jackass 4. This is the first Jackass I've ever seen, and I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it because typically this isn't my kind of comedy, but here it really got me. Just the camaraderie between the friends is really what sold it for me. It had some great sequences, some great laughs, and overall, it really surprised me. Perhaps another controversial one as we enter the top 10, I have Ambulance. Michael Bay's new movie, which is all about drones, because he loves shooting with drones so much. And I really, unironically, enjoyed this movie. Yes, it had its flaws and it didn't make total sense, but just the scale of it was good. The way it was shot, the drones were cool, if overused. But this movie is kind of what made me realise Bayhem can be a good term. Because it was fun! Get over yourself. Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya Abdul-Mateen III. They were good fun in it. Isa Gonzalez, she's on my wall. You can't, can you? Yeah, you can see her. Right there, probably. Who knows? What's going on? It was fun. Let's move on. In 9th place, we have Fresh, which was this kind of thriller movie that for me in the UK was on Disney Plus, starring Sebastian Stan, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun for a horror movie. The way it developed, the way the plot unfolded as the movie went on, I think was really great. Had some really fun sequences, had some really freaky sequences, and it had a satisfying ending, which is good because normally I find horror movies to have an unsatisfying ending. Speaking of horror movies with satisfying endings, in 8th place we have The Black Phone, the movie on this list I have watched the most recently, directed by Scott Derrickson, also with 4 stars, and it was good. Scott Derrickson had a style, and he had a vision, and he stuck to that vision, and he had a message, and he had themes, and he did it, and he executed it all well. That sounds like the bare minimum, but he did it, and I loved it. Ethan Hawke was scary. The kids were scared. The way it was shot, the way the shots were dirtied, and the way it kind of had this 70s style to it was really, really good. And it was fun at times, and it was scary at times, and it had a satisfying ending. Oh, this was a great horror movie, but not the best of the year. In 7th place, we have Turning Red, a great Pixar movie of the year. This movie had fun, it had romance, it had a message, it had themes, and it was just good looking with cool sequences and a fun concept and great humour. That's all I've got to say about it. In 6th place, we have our first 4.5-star movie, and it is Scream 5. This was actually the first Scream movie I ever saw. I loved it so much that I've gone back and seen some of the old ones now, but this one is still my favourite, probably. I think it had great satire and some great comedy, and some great scares, and some great thrills. Jack Quaid was a lot of fun in it, and it had some good-looking shots, and I'm trying to remember other things about it, because I watched it all the way back in January. That's all I've got to say. It was good fun. And entering the top 5 with 4.5 stars, we have The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. This fun Nick Cage film, which was the perfect amount of self-aware and meta, and it kind of had these inside jokes that we were all in on. And I just love meta movies when it's done well, like Chip and Dale. Here, I think the meta-ness was really explored well, and it wasn't like too out there crazy. It wasn't distractingly weird. It was fun, and it worked, and Nick Cage was funny, and Pedro Pascal, the beautiful man he is, was also a very funny, unlike The Bubble. How did that movie go wrong? Like I teased at the start of the video, we have 4 5-star movies, and I still haven't ranked them in my head. I loved them all. Which one was my favourite? Who knows? Let me just... Okay. I think I have an order for them. In 4th place is Top Gun Maverick. This movie was incredible! It looked so good. The action was so visceral, and it had you on the edge of your seat. The tension was so great, and the music was so great, and the score was there, and the soundtrack was there, and it had some mind-blowing sequences. Some of the best action of the year. Perhaps not the best. We'll get to that, but it had some mind-blowing action. Tom Cruise is back, baby. Big planes, big sound, big noisy movie in big cinema good. This movie was so movie. Okay, 3rd place. Big decision to make. Big decision to make, Dean. 3rd place. 3rd place. 3rd place. Okay. I can't decide between these 3 movies. They're all good movies. 3rd place. I'm just going to cut here and announce it when I've decided. Okay, these 3 movies are also great, but I think I've decided on an order, and I have a feeling that this order will change tomorrow, and then it will change again the day after that, and then when I finally do my 2022 full year wrap up, it will then change once again. But in 3rd place, I am putting RRR. Yeah, I'm putting RRR. It's a new Indian Tollywood movie, and I could not recommend it enough. If you haven't seen it, because I have a feeling most people would have seen 1st and 2nd place, this is the one movie on this list which I will go watch it now. It's on Netflix. I know it's long, but it's worth it. It's just such a cute friendship story, and it's got musicals, and it's got dance battles, and it's got amazing action and moments which really had me like mouth agape laughing just at the sheer audacity of it. It was beautiful, and it was strong, and it was so good. Maybe I want to put it in second place. No, 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 no. You're staying in third place. In second place, we have The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. I want to change it, but I've already said it. The Batman was so good. The music and the cinematography is all I've ever wanted from a Batman movie. It was just this gritty noir, beautiful beast that just developed as the movie went on, and it looked so good and it sounded so good. The performances were great and the plot really unfolded in interesting ways, and yes, the mystery wasn't super compelling, and that kind of makes me want to put it in third place, but it's stuck in second place now. This is my favourite live action superhero movie ever. The action was solid, the suit was solid, everything looked great. If you want to hear me talk about this movie in greater depth, I've done a video essay on it. The first video essay I've ever done, and the only one on this channel, and no one watched it. In first place is a bit of a generic answer, and I'm sure everyone saw it coming. We have everything, everywhere, all at once. You watched the start earlier on in this movie when I said, hey, I like weird things. Let's go back and watch that bit. And they were just a bit weird, and I love things that are weird. It's true. I love weird things. And this movie is a weird movie. And it has weird moments in it. And there's silly rocks talking to each other, and a possum or a raccoon on someone's head. And a strong message and beautiful shots and just crazy cinematography that really kind of just I do not understand how this movie was made or what the script looked like, because it is so out there and wild, and it really made me feel something. And that's all I want. I want to feel something when I watch a movie. That got really deep and quite sad. I feel like I kind of lost it there at the end, having to choose my favourites out of those three movies. RRR, The Batman, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Top Gun Maverick, for that case, are all phenomenal movies, and go watch all four of them if you haven't seen any of them. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like this video. Please comment down below your favourite and least favourite movies of the year. Please subscribe, and please stay tuned for when I make more videos. I'm working on my DCEU Phase 3. I forgot what one I was working on. And, you know, I've got more videos coming up and some exciting stuff in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that. All my links are in the bio. I love you all. That's new. See you next time. Bye.